So I'm down 65 pounds since we started this program. So it's been great. I mean, I feel better. I look better. And I'm excited to, now that I'm back from vacation, excited to lose another 20, 25 pounds wherever we're at here.
Amazing. Let's go, man. Yeah, we're coming right up on the year mark. We're 2 days out from your first in with us. But talk to us about what the experience has been like and how come you think, this has actually been successful in getting you from this 260 mark down to this 207 mark here.
So the experience itself, I've had ups and downs. There's been struggles. I know initially when I joined, my wife had been in a group and I found this group because it was, I don't know how it popped up, how you ran across whatever feed I was looking at, but you did. And it was a biblical group. It was, grounded in the Bible. And so that interested me. That piqued my interest. And that's why I was willing to look into this. And as I remember one of the first nights after we joined the group and started getting on, I had my calories set and everything. And we went out to the dinner and we were at a burger joint. And, I had to choose a burger and I was pretty angry because I couldn't eat the burger I wanted to eat. And I chose something that fit into the calories as opposed to the burger I wanted to eat. But that was my first step because the point was I had a calorie count and a protein count that I had to be aware of, and that was different than what I'd been doing because I ate what I wanted to eat basically. And so now I've got these parameters I've got to eat within, and so I had to get used to that. And honestly, I experienced that again recently because not too long ago Nathan had reduced my calorie count, I think just by 100 calories. I'm not really sure. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I really struggled to be within that calorie count then. And I had to refigure out how I was going to eat and stuff like that. And honestly, I went on vacation. I was probably, prior to vacation, I was probably kind of a little rebellious against that calorie count. I went on vacation, was able to eat what we didn't watch the calories when I mean, we were careful, but weren't counting calories and stuff. And I come back and I've been able to adjust myself now to that calorie count. And the weight, I know I went up on vacation a little bit, but boy, I'm already back down to where I was when I left for vacation. And so ready to build into that momentum of losing the next 20 pounds that I want to lose. So 25 pounds, I think, is where we're at. So the experience, yeah, there's been ups and downs simply because, it's a different lifestyle. It's learning how to eat. It's not that you took away what I couldn't. You didn't come and say, hey, you can't eat this, you can't eat that. I just have to be able to eat it within my calories and the protein. And some of that was adjusting to learning new things along with my wife and what she was eating as well. But I still able to, the things that I don't eat now, I don't miss that much. The biggest miss that I have is cherry Pepsi, and occasionally I have a cherry Pepsi. It's rare. I've replaced that with other things that work within my calorie count, but 260 calories in a cherry Pepsi does not work for me. And I'm okay with that. That's the biggest thing that I miss. Chocolate chip cookies too. But I'm okay with that because we have never eaten a lot of sweets anyways. So that's not been a huge thing. So as far as that goes, so the work itself then that I've done as I worked with you guys have been, and that was the other piece that I needed. When I went through high school, I didn't learn how to lift weights. I didn't learn how to, do any of that training. So I didn't have anybody that, and I got back issues, shoulder issues. I got lots of issues. And to do it right, to know what to do and not hurt myself, that has all helped me to have a coach to be able to say, this is how you do it. And this is what we do, and I've shared videos and Nathan has tweaked me and said, hey, nope, you got to do it this way. and we've readjusted things and went back, but those steps have helped me. And we'll probably get into more of how some of this has helped my back and stuff as we go along. But the experience has been great. I would have never lost the weight that I've lost, and I would never look. I mean, my wife thinks I look better now, and she's happy that I've lost that weight. She's excited that I'm going to lose more of the weight, and it's just, improved. My kids even said, my son has told me, Dad, you guys look great. So those are good things, because this is what we want. This is what God wants. He wants us here to be able to do the work that he has for us. And if we're not healthy, we can't do that work. And so this has been great in helping me, and it's become a lifestyle. And that's what it had to be. It had to move from, yeah, I'm doing this and why am I doing this, but it had become a lifestyle change. And that's what it has, because my wife gets worried because now she's in maintenance mode. And I said, but it's a lifestyle. So you're not going to go out and eat, a ton of food, because that's not what we do anymore. We eat the right things. And so, yeah, we might have a day where we are at a party or something that we eat something a little more that we don't normally eat. But the next day we're doing what we do, because it's a lifestyle change. And so that's what's been so good about it, along with the getting into the weightlifting, the training, exercising my body and stuff. So that's been good.
I appreciate that, man. Two things really jumped out to me were you shared how you were looking for something that was faith-based. So obviously, there's an important component to you, but then you also touched on some of the struggles everyone faces that are just annoying, honestly. And sometimes, feel like I don't know if that's worth giving up. And you shared about that. Honestly, I think it's really important for people to know that with the amount of weight that you've lost, right? I mean, 260 down to this 207 mark. That's significant. But that has to come with struggle points. So my question for you is, how has what we've done actually helped you deal with those struggle points, like, getting to the end of the day and being like, oh, I can't have whatever I want within my goals? How are you actually processing that, and how's what we taught helped you process that with it?
So I think the way I process those things, obviously, yeah, the spiritual component, I want to honor God with my body. And a lot of what I did, especially in the beginning, was to look at your videos, because one of the big things that I struggle with, I can strain, oddly enough, I can wrap my brain around, I need to serve God and I need to serve him well. But I struggled with serving God. I honor God with my body, by eating right and exercising. I struggled with that. And so I had to watch your videos to really gain that understanding, and be able to process those things through a biblical lens, for me, is what helped me do that. And those changes, so the changes that I'm doing and that I'm making, the Bible talks about being disciplined. Paul talks about, an athlete that has to discipline his body to run the race for Christ. And that's essentially what we're doing. I had to learn to discipline myself in an area that I had never disciplined myself in. I could discipline myself to set my time, to build in to, okay, I'm going to have this time where I'm going to get with the Lord and read scripture. These are tangible things that we do as believers, is, praying and reading scripture and stuff. But to discipline myself in my eating habits and in my workout habits, that was new to me. I had never had to, nobody had ever challenged me to do that or said that this honors God. And it took me a while to wrap my brain around how that does honor God. And for me, there was a component there too, as I did that. Again, watching my wife go through this, I saw at times her being very obsessive, and she would admit that. So not allowing this, while I want to do this, I also had to make sure that this does not become an idol to me, and the losing weight and the look that I'm going for or any of that becomes an idol. And I wanted to balance that well. And I think I've done that. I think God has shown me how to do that well, because it's important. It's become important for me to continue to maintain doing what I'm doing. Otherwise, I would have jumped a long time ago. But it's been important to me to continue to maintain what I'm doing, but also, I'm not going to obsess over it. If you know, I know there's a time of year that's going to come. It's called Thanksgiving and Christmas. And there's going to be Christmas parties and there's going to be family gatherings. And while I'll be disciplined to watch what I eat, I'm not going to be as stringent during those times, because I'm not going to offend people by, if they invite me over. I'm a pastor. People invite us over. I'm not going to offend them by, no, I can't eat. I'm going to eat what they serve me. I'm going to enjoy within the boundaries. One of the things that I don't do anymore is I rarely go back for seconds. I put what's on my plate and I eat what I want to eat, but I rarely go back for seconds. I can't say I didn't on vacation, but outside of that, I can't remember the last time I went back for seconds. I just don't do that. And it's just disciplining myself. And that's what scripture calls us to do in all areas of our life. And that's how I process that.
That's powerful, because that makes it more than just, like you're saying, a physical pursuit where that's the only obsession and the only goal. It becomes much deeper at that point. So appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, I think it makes sense to transition to Nathan, because you guys have done some work together that has been, really impactful as well. So Nathan, would you mind asking Tim some questions about what he's experienced with the deeper work you guys have done with some of the pain and the freedom that he's experienced with some of that pain?
Yeah, absolutely. And, this has just been a really unique experience because, Tim, you and I have gone so much just deeper into just our working together and, just talking about everything from, 270 down to almost cracking now into 199. I mean, you're so close to knocking on the door there, but, it's been there's been times where it's been tough from just the standpoint of how you've been feeling physically.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just the long-standing history that you and I have chatted about extensively of multiple decades of body pain, back pain, shoulder, neck, and all that, and just the extra work and the coaching and just the freedom that we're working through in real time. Talk to me about in regards to your back and low back, what are you able to do today that you couldn't do, before we started working together?
Well, before we started working, I pretty much tried not to do too much of anything. As far as, I know what with my kids, when my kids were growing up, if I went out and played even catch with my kids, I'd hurt and I wouldn't be able to function for several days. And if do, I never like to do work around the house, because, those things just, if you got to crawl on the floor, if you got to get underneath a sink, my back hurts and it takes me days to recover. And so I would avoid those things at all costs, which meant my wife's to-do list didn't get done around the house a lot of times because, you know, it would put me in pain. So I would procrastinate. Through the work that we've done, I have been able to, my lower back is doing much better. Got the pain blocker turned down. Now, again, we had a rough spot over vacation, but I can say today, I mean, honestly, I came back from vacation. I've been working out this week. Today, I turned the pain blocker back down to 20. So we're back down to where we were at the lowest point. So yeah, so as of today, I've turned that pain blocker down. I won't, unless you guys want me to, I won't get into the details of what we're working with the doctor, but I was able to, I think some of the activity, I can walk again. The problems with my low back is not, the problems with walking is not due to the low back. I mean, there's a problem there, that needs to be remedied, that can be remedied if I so choose, but it's because of it creates pain down my left leg and foot. And that's what the problem is the pain down the left leg and foot. The low back that I've struggled with all these years and why the pain blocker is in there, just to be able to turn that. I mean, with our workouts that we've done, we've been able to turn that down from, I was at a 37, I think, when we started with the pain blocker, and we're down to 20. And so I feel good about that, not having electricity running through my body like it was, is good. And so the work, and that was the thing, I didn't know what would happen when I came home from vacation, but I delved in, I took it easy. I think it was Saturday, because of the pain that I was struggling with because of the activity on vacation. I built in what Nathan had kind of showed me to things, exercises that I felt would be good just to ease back in and maybe begin to alleviate some of that pain. And I did those exercises. And then Monday morning, I hit it just the normal, and I feel good. The lower back is back to where, like I said, I'm able to turn it back down to 20. And even my shoulder feels better. I think there's inflammation there due to playing volleyball on vacation. I think that's what did it and put me out for a day. But even it feels better anyways. So I'm doing the workouts that Nathan has showed me and built for me, and they work. I mean, it helps with the pain, it helps with maneuverability. And so it's been good.
That's awesome, Tim. And yeah, I mean, it's such an amazing thing to see just being in the medical world that when someone takes multiple decades of pain and takes a pain blocker that's pushing 40 and nearly cuts it in half, the amount of just tremendous amount of relief from a physical and just a mental standpoint that takes that you get to this point where you're like, oh my gosh, I really didn't know if this was going to be possible. And one
Yeah.
of the biggest things that I think I've come to realize and appreciate, and I want you to expand on this too, is, when we first were together, there was a lot of discussion and education about how do we view pain? How do we
Mm-hmm.
navigate exercise, life, daily living, hiking with kids from a lens of, am I only looking to escape painful situations, or am I looking to overcome it and not let it be a barrier that stops me from doing the things that I want to do? So I want you to expand and just kind of share with me what specifically that did we do that kind of working together that helped shape the belief that you're an overcomer of pain rather than just looking for a way always out of it?
Yeah. Obviously you had to educate me because I don't know those things about the body. And you shared a book with me that I read that talked about the neural pathways, I think is what it was called,
Yeah.
and how that they get set so that it's just because it's kind of like an automatic, oh, I'm going to climb a ladder today, so automatically I'm going to have pain. And so your brain automatically says I'm going to have pain. And you, between you and the book, it said we can retrain those neural pathways
Yeah.
so that it's not that, and I'm not a health guy, I'm not into all of that science and stuff, but you were able to teach me that, hey, this is how God's created the body, and so we can retrain these things. And so that was one of the things that, okay, I'm going to trust that you know what you're talking about, and we're going to work with you to, let's retrain things. And so, does it still sometimes scare me when I see a ladder? Yeah, because I know that is one of the things that, if I do, I'm going to be in pain. But I don't have to be afraid of that. Hopefully, if I crawl on a ladder, I can do the work and not have a problem. And if I do, I know what I've got to do I've got tools built in to be able to relieve that pain as well. And so that education was a big thing for me, to be able to help me understand what's going on and why. And then I'm by nature a pretty trusting person, but you built the program that I needed to, the workouts that I needed to do. And then of course, videoing those things to send them back to you so that you could say, we need to tweak this. You're not doing it right. Those things helped. And so getting it done right was important then too. And I think those things, the education and then the tweaking through the videos, has been a big help to help me know what to do, number one, as well as believe that we can retrain and redo this. And I think we've done that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, I want to kind of end with this question here. I'm going to make it a two-part for you. If you could just summarize how this experience was different from so many of the other things that you've tried. I mean, talking about 20, 30 plus years of pain, what made this different to see these ongoing results? And then what would you say to someone, watching right now who's tried so many things, but maybe they're, afraid to make that jump?
Yeah. So yeah, I have tried a lot of things. They were something kind of like these beads around your, bracelets and ankle bracelets and stuff. They sell you at the fair and they say, hey, these things are going to help with your pain. We've done other stuff. We've done pretty much everything and none of it has worked. I've spent money to do these things just looking for answers. And quite honestly, what's this surprisingly, you think about it, it makes the most sense. There's not a gimmick here.
Yeah.
This is just hard work of exercising and as well as the weight loss, component, getting your body trained and being disciplined to do that work, both from an aspect of eating right and working out. And that's not a gimmick. That's God has created us to be active. And when we're stagnant, sitting, yeah, those things sit in and the pain sits in and it's just hard. But when you become active and you move, so the work, it's hard work, but it's worth the work. This is different in the fact I paid trainers to help me do this.
Yeah.
Is what I did. And those other things just seemed like, when I look back at them, they just seemed like gimmicks. Maybe a quick fix or something like that.
Yeah.
And our health is not a quick fix. I'm on a year of this, and it's not gonna, that year doesn't, even when I hit, this year I'm gonna hit that 180 mark, but that doesn't mean it stops. The work stops. This is a lifetime of work to go forward, even with going on vacation. I struggled. I had a day where I didn't go with the family because I was in pain from doing some other things. And, but I come home and I jump in, I do the work, and I'm feeling much better already again. So it's because I don't have those things necessarily when I'm away from home to be able to do what I do at home. And so I come home and I'm able to do what I normally do and I get back into the routine. It's not a gimmick. It's doing what we truly should have been taught all along. Health class is not, I mean, we have health class in high school, but it's not, we don't take it seriously as kids, but we find out as we get older, this is what we have to do. This is how God has created us. And this is what, if we eat right the way God has asked us to, if we work out and exercise our body, that alleviates that pain. And yeah, I mean, there doesn't mean we're never going to have surgery or things like that, but we still are able to alleviate a lot of that stagnant, a lot of that pain that was there that causes us to say I don't want to do this because now I can. Now I can, I can go out and do the things that I want to do. And I did. There was things on vacation that, I did that I wouldn't have really been able to do. I kayaked on vacation. I snorkeled on vacation. I didn't do all the snorkeling just because I'm not a strong swimmer anymore and with my shoulder issues. But, you know, in the past, I wouldn't be able to do that. I could go, we didn't do it this time, but the last time, 2 years ago when I was on vacation, they asked me about my weight because I was zip lining and there's a weight limit. That if I would have went zip lining, they wouldn't have questioned me this time, you know? So what would I tell other people? The gimmicks don't work. I mean, no quick, easy fix to what you're going through, whether it's the pain, whether it's the weight loss. You have to jump in. And again, I go back to the self-discipline, and that's what God calls us to, is disciplining ourselves. And if I don't do that, then I'm going to do whatever I want to do, and it's not going to be good. But as I do that, I'm able to control I don't want to say I don't really control the pain, but the pain is less. It's not that I'm pain free. I'm not, but that wasn't again, education. That's not the goal. The goal is that we limit we're able to do the things that I want to do with limited pain. And if I have some, you know, I'm okay, but I'm still with the family being able to do what I want to do. And so jump in because it is hard work. It's hard work, but that's what's going to do it. The hard work, putting in the hard work is what's going to cause you to lose the weight, cause you to overcome the pain. That's simply where it's at. These are natural things that we do.
So if there's somebody out there watching this who resonates with everything you've shared and they're thinking, great, sounds good, but I think I'll prioritize it next year. What would you say to them as to why they should jump in and get started today?
So we're not guaranteed another day, quite honestly. My wife did this. One of the reasons she chose to do what she's doing is because she wants to be around for her grandkids and she doesn't want to miss that. We're not guaranteed. God does not guarantee us another day. So I don't know. I struggle with scheduling a vacation a year in advance, but that's what we have to do these days, is schedule a vacation a year in advance. I don't know what's going to happen in that year. You don't know what's going to happen in that year. But if you wait a year, you're going to be that much more heavier. You're going to be maybe that much more in pain, and it'll be more like, why do I want to do it now? Because of all these, there's going to be a whole lot more reasons why not than why to. And so you need to do it immediately. You need to jump in. Don't wait. Jump in and do it now. If nothing else, jump in and do it now for your family because you don't have time to lose.
That's a great call to urgency, man. And Tim, thank you so much for taking the time today and sharing about your experience. I think every single thing that you shared brings so much glory to God and just demonstrates that no matter how much you've struggled in the past with things like this, that you're never too far gone. And it's amazing to hear how you're processing through the struggles and your level of confidence that you're going to hit 180 this year it inspired me. So thanks for everything, and thank you for taking the time today.